Welcome back, everybody. We are now doing the second step of spray painting. We made our spray paint in the first step, and now in this step we're going to use it on the material. And the stencil we're using is this mountains and trees stencil right here. And the mountains and trees stencil has a border up around the top, and that's where the sky is. But you really don't want to spray paint in that border, because then that makes it look like a square picture on something, and you really want it to become part of the shirt. So what we did was, on this stencil that I have used over and over again, I cut the top right at the top of where the trees start. The trees end right there, okay? So now I will have an open sky on top and then the trees down below. So that just makes a better picture, okay? So, and I also take this, to find the center of my shirt, I take this 6-inch by 12-inch quilter, 24-inch quilter's ruler, I put it under the armhole, and I measure it so that it's about the same on both sides, because what this does is it acts as a level for your eye. So it really helps you to get something level, and it helps you to get something measured so that it can make it toward the center. But I don't like where this center is lining up. And keep in mind, centers aren't always perfect, arms aren't sewn perfectly, bottoms aren't sewn perfectly, so don't be afraid to still use your eyeball. This is just a tool to help you get it better. And this is a friction pen, and I use these all the time because when I add heat to these, they erase. And because I'm going to add an iron-on design later, this will disappear when I add the heat of the iron. So I'm going to move this, and I'm going to mark the center of my shirt. Okay. Then I take my stencil, which I have also marked the center of, because it wouldn't do any good to mark the center of the shirt if I didn't mark the center of the stencil. And I take them and I line them up, and I get everybody pretty much where I want it to be, right in there. And I'm also looking at how much edge there is on both sides, and just anything that will help you get it centered and get it on there straight. I can bring the ruler back, look at it along the bottom of the stencil, line it up there. Seems like it needs to go maybe up just a little bit, because with this square edge like this, you want to make sure you're got it lined up. Okay, so once I have it lined up, and I've also put clear tape around the edges, front and back. This is just clear packing tape. And the reason for this is a lot of the stencils get cut really close to the edge. And we're going to put newspaper around the edges and weight it down so that we don't get spray paint in those square edges. But sometimes the paint will still get under the newspaper. So I put tape around the edges just as an extra help to make sure that I don't spray in any paint I don't want it to be. And my paper of this stencil won't go beyond that edge where I cut it, because that's where the trees stopped. And I'm going to put newspaper along the bottom. This stencil didn't really need the tape as much as other stencils did, but I went ahead and put it on there just to show you. And again, put the newspaper down so that it's not above that edge. Okay? And right now I'm going to start off with the blue paint, so I'm going to do the sky up above here. And I'm going to not go very heavy over to this side or that side, because again, I don't want that square edge to be there. I'm just going to lightly spray the top here, just so I can basically get that blue going up around the top of the mountains there. Okay? And then take the blue paint, which I'm done with now, and take and put, in case you don't have enough sprayers, or you just don't want to use a whole bunch of sprayers at one time, keep using this same sprayer. Take the blue sprayer out of the bottle, wipe it off with a paper towel, put it into that green paint that we made when we made up our paint. This is the campground green. And take it and spray through the blue to get to the green paint, because if you don't, you're going to have blue paint right where you want your green to go. So it takes a couple spritzes, and then you've sprayed through the blue to get to the green. Okay, so now we're going to spray the green down here in the trees. And you can spray too much paint, so just be easy on the paint, because if you spray too much paint, it can get too heavy and it might go under the stencil. It's basically a watercolor, but then again, don't be afraid to put too much paint on there. So practice with newspaper or fabric that you have, old fabric or something, that all helps. Now we take the washers, and these are just 62-cent washers that I get at the hardware store. They make great weights. Wipe the paint off of them if you got some paint on them. You don't have to wipe the paint off, but if you don't, they will get sticky as they dry. So just wipe the paint off. Okay, stack those up, put them off to the side. Pick up your paper easily because you might have wet paint on the edges and you don't want to drip any wet paint across the shirt and get it where you don't want it. And now what we'll do is we will pick up the stencil. We don't put any tape around the stencil to tape it down. We don't put any spray adhesive on the back of it because you don't want your stencil to stick when you're trying to pick it up. So I'm just going to move it over here a little bit. This just shows you everything isn't as delicate as it seems. And you just pick your stencil up, straight up, put it onto some newspaper, grab a paper towel, and wipe off your stencil on the newspaper. If you have a sink nearby, you can take it up and put it in the sink and just wash it off with water, soap, anything you want. These are extremely durable stencils. They're going to last really well. And it looks like I've sprinkled some green paint over here, which is fine because I'm going to go ahead and add some more paint. I'm trying to get all of this into the camera lens, and so I'm a little bit closer working than normally I would be. And then again, just wipe all the paint off. You can even turn it over and see if you got any paint on the back side. Okay, that's for that. If it makes you feel any better, you can also put a piece of cardboard or wax paper in between the front and back of the shirt if you think your shirt is thin enough that the paint might go through to the back. I have never sprayed heavy enough that the spray has gone through, so I don't take as many precautions maybe as some of you might, which is no problem. Now to make the trees and the sky blend in more, I'm going to add some more paint, but I'm going to stand back and I'm going to do it lighter because now I just want a light spray to just kind of coordinate all the fabric. I don't always like a design to just sit on the shirt. I think it should kind of be incorporated. So just take your, I'm still on the green, just take the light green, just spray it lightly all around. Okay, now we're going to change out the green paint and change it over to the blue paint. And again, don't forget to spray out of the green to get back to the blue. So open up some newspaper. That's what I do. I open up a bunch of newspaper, spray in the middle, and then turn it back again. So I spray till I get out to the blue. Okay, and a lot of times you will get creases and things in your sleeves, so smooth everything out as best you can. You can put your hand up there. Okay, and we'll spray across the sleeves, and that's just going to give it some more blue up at the top. Okay, and now this shirt is done. And what I did on the other shirt, I did another shirt before this. Sometimes it's nice to take the shirt and continue the spray onto the back. So all you have to do is kind of lay it out like this. And I lay out my seam lines so that I don't get, you know, just white strips on the shirt. So spray this out on both sides. Okay, and there's a little bit of the white that I had still in there, so I'm going to spray that out right there. And keep in mind this is hand painting. Nothing's going to be perfect on there, so don't worry about it. Then you can take your shirt, and the blue is basically just across the back of the shirt, the top, and then the green was below it. So I'm just going to add a little bit going across there. Okay, then again, change out my blue sprayer back into the green. You could always have two bottles, and one could be green and one could be blue. It all depends on how you want to do it. It doesn't make any difference how you do it. And I'm going to spray out the blue to get to the green. Put that aside and spray the bottom of this green. And then, because I don't want that white edge in there, and always be cognizant of the design that you've got on your shirt, that you don't overspray your design and add paint somewhere you don't want it. And we'll just lay out my edges here on my shirt right there. Okay, And now we've got our shirt done. Now we wait for it to dry. Usually dries in about, 10 minutes. And again, 24 hours later, you would heat set this with a cotton setting on your iron. 10 minutes in each section. You can use a pressing cloth. I don't, but if it makes you feel better, use a pressing cloth. And wait 24 hours to do the heat setting. You can wear it right away. That doesn't make any difference. And then wait 1 week to launder. And I launder them inside out, hand wash, machine wash, however you want to do that. But I do hang to dry because we're using 100% natural fibers, and they might shrink if you put them into the dryer. It doesn't hurt to go into the dryer, it's just that they might shrink, and then you'll have an unwearable garment. So 24 hours to cure, heat set, wait 1 week to launder, but you can wear immediately. In the next demo, we will show you how to iron on the embellishments for the trees, just to give it that extra texture. Thanks for watching.